Hello, everyone. So I am back again with another podcast. Um, I have been basically like not slacking, but trying to like think about what I put out more. I don't know. Like, I'm happy with what I put out, but I I read an article that Ollie did Formula, um, and he said about like not oversaturating yourself, and I don't know, it just really stuck out to me because I feel like I have like a pretty, it's not a bad habit, it's just a habit of like, I talk on things and I talk on things and I talk and I talk and I talk and like, I don't want to oversaturate my words. Like, I want everything I say to be meaningful and to like be of importance. And I don't know, especially people that knew me in my like Snapchat moon story days. It was like every other day, sometimes 2, 3 times a day, I was posting moon stories, and like no one's got time for that. That's not fair. People do have time for that. I shouldn't talk down on myself. But what I'm trying to say is that I want the things that I put on this platform to be meaningful and to mean something to me, so that like they'll mean something. I mean, everything that I say means something to me, but like, I want things to mean something to other people as well. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I have a podcast that's like waiting to come out. But that podcast is, I'm not gonna lie, very vulnerable. And I think like me putting that one out, um, it will take me like a while to get to a place where I feel like I'm comfortable enough for people to listen to that, especially people from my youth, like school and college. Like to hear feedback from that, I'm not ready for that yet. Like, do you know like sometimes you like have some real deep rooted shit, and you like, I don't know, you speak about it to someone. I spoke about it on a podcast, and I think like it's very healing for me. It's very like beneficial for me to do that and like have a platform, because I feel like a lot of the issues that I have, a lot of other people have those issues, and when I talk about it so like openly, it can help other people kind of be like, oh shit, I'm not the only one with these issues. At least that's what people say to me when they kind of give me feedback on my podcasts. But that one I'm not quite ready for yet. I mean, I'm sure it'll come out at some point. I don't even know why I'm talking about it, because you guys are just sat there like, well, if you're not going to release it, stop talking about it. That's actually me making a generalization. I don't know why, but whenever I start a podcast, it's like my ADHD brain is just like switches into overdrive, because I've actually just been chilling. Like, for those of you that aren't aware, through all of the unnecessary pictures I've been posting online, I'm on holiday at the minute. I'm in Turkey. It is beautiful. I'm currently looking at the sea. If I could insert a clip, a picture, it would be. I wish I could. Hold on. Let me hold the microphone out and see if you can hear the sea. Probably not, but there we go. There we have it. So I actually did a 2 card tarot pull before this. I started recording, because I was like, give me topics. Like, I want to. So like, I had a couple of things that I wanted to like talk about, but I wanted like, I don't know, some clarification from whoever's helped me spiritually with this reading, to see like what, I don't know, the focus should be. I pulled the Hierophant reversed and the Lovers. So I don't know, I'll kind of explain those to you quickly for those of you that don't understand tarot. So the Hierophant is like spiritual progress, and kind of like, I don't know, for people that don't necessarily vibe with spirituality, I'll explain my kind of spirituality for you. So um my spiritual practice basically just involves bettering myself and being more in touch with myself, because I think the more in touch you are with yourself, the more in touch you are with your surroundings. So it's like, the more you know yourself and the more you know what triggers you, etc., etc., the more you kind of see those things in other people. So when other people say things, you get upset, you can kind of take a minute and take a breath, and like, I don't know, it's just helps you live a more peaceful quality of life. And like, I am 100% about the psychic shit and about the crystals and about the incense. Don't get me wrong, like, I'm not here to shit on any of that. But for me, the main focus of my spirituality is definitely like, how far can I go with myself? It's not really about other people or other things or material possessions or belongings. So that's kind of the Hierophant. Like, and because it's reversed, I don't know, like, some people read reversal, some people don't. Basically, it just means it's the other way around. Um, kind of normally means that there's like some work that needs to be done before you can get to that. So I don't know, spiritual growth, so it maybe means there's some work to be done before you can get to your spiritual growth. But the next card, sorry, I'm speaking so fast. The cards kind of intertwine, so like one card will feed into the other. So that card, if I pulled it on its own, would mean like what I've just explained. But the next card I pulled was the Lovers. And I know exactly what this means that I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about Andrew Tate. So the Lovers is basically about like relationships and connection and like happiness and like basically positive relationships. It can be platonic or it can be romantic. Either way, I know. Like to me, I mean, everyone reads cards differently. I knew I wanted to talk about Andrew Tate, um, but I think these cards have kind of just like laid it out for me. I kind of like the more I talk while I'm reading as well, the more it like comes out. It's just like word vomit, you know, like it just comes out, and then I'm like, yeah. So why does stunted, not necessarily stunted, but why does reversed spiritual growth and the Lovers have anything to do with Andrew Tate, you might ask? So I think like one of the biggest issues that and bear in mind, right, I'm not an Andrew Tate expert. I've literally seen about 4 of his videos and I've seen the things that people have said about him. I don't necessarily watch him too much because he will trigger me. And one thing again, spiritual growth is actively disengaging in things that you know are going to have a negative effect on you. So like not engaging in Andrew Tate's videos or content for me is a form of spiritual practice because that will upset me and I don't want to see it. So I don't know, am I qualified to talk on this? Free platform, he has free speech, I have free speech, I'm going to speak on it. Ooh, that was a little bit sassy from me, wasn't it? Jesus Christ, I had my omelette this morning, that is why I'm feeling sassy. I haven't spoken in so long. I'm literally craving social interaction. Like I just need to speak. I haven't done a podcast in so long, so this is going to be a mess. But as always, it's going to be a mess. Okay, so right, so kind of I'm backtracking again to why does the reading lead to Andrew Tate? So funny story. I'm on holiday. I made some friends on holiday, and one of the friends I made on holiday is kind of a bit of an Andrew Tate fan, right? And you might be like, why would you be friends with him? Good question to ask. I saw an interview with Russell Brand and Joe Rogan like a year ago, maybe. And Joe Rogan, I think, is a hunter, like he goes hunting. And Russell Brand was saying, he made a really good point of we have a good like connection as a friendship, and why would I don't know, cut off that friendship or stop that friendship because you enjoy to engage in different activities to me, because then no humans would ever get on. Everyone's different. Everyone enjoys different things. And I don't know, I kind of view life that way now. Like if someone does something different to me or has different, I don't know, I wouldn't like to call it morals. I'm kind of redefining my idea of morals because I like, say, for example, hunting, I eat meat. Just because I don't hunt it doesn't mean that I've not eaten it. So technically you could argue, say we're doing a little PA paragraph here, you could argue that hunting your own food is more humane than it going to a slaughterhouse and you buying it from Morrison's. So that's kind of like the reasoning why, because I know some of the girlies that listen to this podcast will be like, why are you friends with someone who likes Andrew Tate? And it's a valid question. I mean, it is a valid question, but I also don't believe that the media you consume or the people that you watch are representative of you wholly as a person. I think they make up sections, but I mean, some of the media I consume does not make up me as a person. So I don't know. I don't like to judge people based off of what they consume. Anyway, so yeah, he's been coming up in conversation a lot over the past couple of days, and just like different, I don't know, opinions about him. And I think one thing that's really evident, especially in the fact that I put the Hierophant reversed, is that a lot of people online are saying that, I mean, I saw this really good article. I can't find it, and I'm not going to find it because it's just going to be me tapping my phone. I don't edit my podcast. I don't want you guys to have to sit through that. So was kind of, this is going to be paraphrased, so don't take this as like point blank what was said. Something along the lines of he is feeding into this crisis in young men and boys that they're not allowed to feel their emotions, or they're not allowed to be vulnerable, or they're not allowed to, I don't know, express themselves fully because, and I am using air quotes right now, it's gay. I mean, I've heard him like throw that one around a lot, like, I'm not giving CPR because it's gay. I mean, one thing that is highly problematic is the fact that you're using gay as an insult. I thought we were done with that. I thought we'd covered that. Like, I thought that was something that was just like point blank not acceptable anymore. But here we are. We're doing it. We're using it. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try and explain to everyone why that's wrong, because let's be honest, it's 2022. We all know that that's not cushy. We don't we don't say that no more. But the reason that this is like an issue, I mean a big issue, I think for a lot of people, is that the stereotype for men throughout history has been men don't cry, men aren't allowed to show their emotions, like women are the emotional ones, or like it's shown throughout history that men have to hide their emotions and men have to be the big strong tough guy. And the thing is that I see humans like this kind of again ties into my spiritual beliefs, is that humans have masculine and feminine energies in them. We're made up of the same matter. We are the same. The only thing, like, so I'm going to explain canalisation for you now, which is a sociological term that I learned when I was in college. And it's basically the idea that from like a very young age, based on your gender that you were assigned at birth, so imagine a canal, right? I think I've explained this in a podcast as well. Imagine a canal, and it splits off into two different like canals, right? It starts in one canal. All the babies in the world are in this one big canal. And then there's, sorry, my cough. I used to edit my coughs out. Sorry, a little sidetrack. I used to go through my whole podcast and edit out when I would cough. Why? For what reason? Anyway, back to my story about canalisation. So all the babies in the world are in their little boats. They're separate little boats. All of the boys get put down one canal and all the girls get put down another canal. And this is through things like clothing, the way they're spoken to, how rough you are. So like say with like a baby girl, you would like be very gentle with her, you would like brush her hair, you would, I don't know, like put her in pretty outfits, blah 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 blah. With boys, like you'd get them playing football from a really young age. You'd get them like wearing boys' clothes, air quotes. I don't think clothes should have a gender, but a lot of people do. So that's kind of the idea of canalisation, is that people sort of subconsciously from a very young age, like literally as soon as you come out of the womb, are trying to put you in a box or in a category or a canal, as some may say. I can't remember who the sociologist was. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to find out. I don't like Googling things while I'm doing a podcast because I like, it just like, because I'm searching and then I'll like go down another rabbit hole. It's just long. So you just got to trust me. Google it yourself if you want. Yeah, so basically this thing with Andrew Tate, and it is all coming full circle. I promise I do have points and they will link back up together. I just have to explain my points. Because if I start talking about canalisation, no one knows what canalisation is. How's that going to help anyone, So, yeah, basically throughout history, men have just been denied of the fact that they have emotions. And like I was saying, I see men and women as literally the exact same, contrary to what Andrew Tate might believe. I think we are all composed of masculine and feminine energies. I do think that some people are sort of more masculine, more feminine. So the whole like yin yang debate. So yin is sort of described as feminine energies and yang is described as masculine energies. And this is kind of where astrology plays into it. And I know like any men watching this right now that don't like astrology or don't believe in it are probably going to switch off and be like, oh my god, astrology, that's not real. Okay, well, I'm here to explain it for you a little bit. I'm not going to go into like Pisces, Libra, Taurus, etc. But what I am going to say is that each sign falls into either masculine or feminine. So say for example Aquarius, right? I have 4 Aquarius placements. You have like I think 8. So how many planets? There's 8 planets, right? So you've got 8 planets in your chart and they all fall under a different sign. So 4 of my planets fall under Aquarius, which is yang, which means it's masculine. So I'm quite like masculine dominant in my chart. And say, for example, some of my friends are, say they have, so like earth and no, earth and water signs are feminine and fire and air are masculine. So if you have like more earth and air signs, you can, no, I keep saying earth and air. If you have more earth and water signs, you'll be more yin, more feminine, and vice versa for air and fire. And basically, like, this isn't necessarily like indicative of who you're going to be in your life or whatever, but I think it definitely plays like an important role, because the idea of the yin and the yang is for them to be balanced. So the yin, like the feminine side, kind of rules like your intuitiveness or your creativity, or like things that are stereotypically coined with women, you know, like, oh, like reading and like cooking, you know. And masculine, like the masculine, the air and the fire, is to do with like your forward thinkingness, your dominance, your how pragmatic you are, how like your leadership skills, things like that. So it's like you can kind of get it, right? It's starting to make a bit more sense. I hope too many people haven't turned off. That'd be really upsetting for me. I'm just doing my best, honestly. Like, I don't know too much about astrology, and every time I try to explain it, I make a fool of myself, and I just like, oh, I hate talking about astrology. Honestly, like, I love spirituality, but talking about astrology literally makes me want to off myself, because people just look at you like you are crazy. Like, I used to have a friend, Daisy. She was on it with the astrology, and every male that she would explain it to would be like, yeah, do you know what, like, I actually believe that now, like, wow, you've really opened my eyes. I explain it and everyone's like, what? So I hope I did my bit a little bit. I really hope like someone somewhere took something from that. But that's kind of like my explanation of why I think that Andrew Tate's ideology of like men and women are separate and they are not the same is, in my eyes, based on my philosophy, not, I don't know, it doesn't line up. I'm not going to say it's not correct, because everyone has their own philosophy, and I'm not going to shit on his, because you're allowed to think what you want to think. As much as people might not like it, that's it. You can think what you think, and you can say what you want to say. And so I think the thing is that he is very, I mean, I talk about ego a lot on here, and the ego likes to separate, and it likes to, I am me and I am on my own, and it kind of like stops that border of like, we're all one and this is a community and this is like collaborative, and like I'm made of energy and this chair is made of energy, and you know, like that's like a very what would you call the opposite of the ego, higher self, I guess, way to think, is like, and I'm also not saying that one is better than the other. They are both like necessary. They're both a very essential part of who you are, because the ego is there to keep you safe. But the thing is when you don't realize that you're in ego mode, you're just going to run rampant with it. I've got another podcast on the ego. I'm not going to talk about it too much. But when you're constantly in this thought pattern, your brain is constantly trying to separate. And when you don't necessarily understand things, like I don't think he has a very good understanding of women, which is why he, I don't know, belittles and talks down on them and talks about raping them, and how women will never be equal to men, etc., because he doesn't have sort of that understanding, which, I mean, I'm not going to say fair enough, but if you don't have an understanding of it, how are you going to know? Like, and this isn't me making excuses for Andrew Tate. I know it kind of sounds like it, but I mean, like, so say like you have an argument with your friends or whatever, like if I ever have like they come to me with like an issue, something that I've been doing wrong, and like I'm like, oh my god, really sorry, like won't do it again, and then you've got to like actively work on it in order to stop doing it. But I think, say for example, in Andrew Tate's book, if no one's calling him out, like, I mean, people are obviously calling him out now, but I think this man, from sort of what I can gather, and this isn't me saying that he's never encountered a hardship in his life, he's never been challenged, he's never been tested, because everyone gets tested, but I think he's sort of been allowed to run with the ideologies that he's got. Maybe his social circle, his family, the people around him all share these beliefs and these values. So he's like, yeah, this is right. Like, this is how I think, and this is, I'm not being sort of questioned on it. Like, that's the way I think. And the thing is I think Emma Chamberlain said something in her podcast. I don't know which one it was. She said that as a society, like the whole world, we were never meant to know that this many people existed or that this amount of stuff existed. And because of like sort of the rise of social media, we aren't just comparing ourselves now to people in our city or people in our village or people in our sort of proximity of where we can travel. We're so interconnected that we're now comparing ourselves to people years older than us, years younger than us, and on the other side of the world. And that's like not fair because not everyone has sort of the same starting point. Not everyone has the same, like, what's the word they say when you're rich? Privilege. Privilege. Not everyone has the same privilege. And I don't know, I think that's like an interesting point when you look at like this Andrew Tate situation, is that there are 15, 14, 13-year-old boys that are consuming this media from this man halfway across the world, and they're internalizing it, they're taking it in. And because he's, you know, he's doing well for himself, he's got his Lambo, he's doing well in his boxing, whatever, he's getting his billions and millions of views, he's making his money, like he's making p. That to a young impressionable boy is attractive, and the mindset will become attractive. And I think the thing is, like, Andrew Tate, from what I've seen, can speak a lot of sense and make it sound very believable. He has a way with words, and he's got some good ideas. I mean, some of the things that he says aren't awful when he's not talking about women, might I add, or raping them. But some of the things that he's saying are appealing to these boys, like maybe about boxing or about determination or about success. Like that, they're appealing to these boys, these especially the young boys. And I've noticed that it's mainly the older boys, like so sort of people my age. Like I'm 20, and people around my age, the boys around my age are kind of a bit like, you are a weirdo. And I don't really see many young. I mean, I don't. I don't really know. Like, I'm not trying to come out here and say I'm following loads of like 17-year-old boys on on social media. But what I'm saying is that maybe it's just because I'm sort of only engaging with people my age group. But from what I can see, it's the younger ages that are being like influenced by him, which is a problem because then we're creating the next generation of men that are going to have very misogynistic views towards women. And that is a problem because there's nothing wrong with being successful. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be successful or like looking for a better sense of self, but you shouldn't be putting women down or degrading women or comparing yourselves. Even like one of the worst things in the world is comparison. Like I understand that there's, well, they can run a mile in this many minutes, so I'm going to try and do that. But I mean, what was it's like in PE or something? They're like, only person you're competing with is yourself, and it's like, yeah, but no one ever actually believes that because there's always someone that's going to be better at something than you. What's that J. Cole lyric? There's always going to be a girl on tour finer than yours. Someone's going to know what I'm talking about. Love yours. um, but basically, what I'm trying to say is that I actually feel like this has been pretty coherent. Like sometimes my podcasts are actually like I just chat shit for an hour, but this one I feel like I've actually made some points, so that's fine. But yeah, basically, like what I'm trying to say is that I'm not coming out here and telling anyone what they can and can't do, because if someone tried to tell me what I can't do, I would do it double. Like I think I'm not trying to compare myself to Andrew Tate, but I think he's a very headstrong and stubborn person in the sense that he knows what he's doing right now is getting him traction and it's getting him attention. And honestly, I think him being banned, as much as it was a good thing for the youth of I don't know, today, tomorrow, I'm not sure. Um, because they're gonna not have such easy access to him. It's giving him exactly what he wanted, because it's like, you know, when they like say like, what can I compare it to? It's like when you make something illegal or you make something underground, you force it underground. People actively go hunting for it because it's not there, so it's not so easily accessible, and it kind of creates this like cultish mentality, like this cultish ideal. Like it's like free parties. Let's talk about free parties. Let's, of course, we're gonna make about drum and bass somehow. Why do people love going to free parties? Because it's like you call the number, you find the location, you go like to these like it's like you're not meant to be doing it, but you're doing it anyway. There's always something fun about doing something that you're not meant to be doing, and this is not good when it is based around sexist and misogynistic ideals. It's not. It's just not. And the thing is that I think in like with the whole incel community being literally a terrorist organization, which I know a lot of people won't agree with. Jordan Teresa on YouTube, I think she did a video on incels. She's a queen. Go watch it. I will tag it if I remember in the description, which I probably won't. So actually just go and look it up, because I'm definitely going to forget. I have a goldfish memory. Anyway, yeah, basically, like, I think, I'm not going to say a lot of men, but there are a percentage of men, I don't know what percent, I'm not Albert Einstein, that I think, honestly, because women are becoming so much more empowered nowadays and they have so much more freedom and so many more opportunities, men don't like it. And honestly, I don't actually blame them, because men have been living for the last, what? I don't know, when was humanity like, I don't know, like 2,000 years? Like, I don't know how long. My history skills aren't that great. But men have been living for however long we've been, like, as a society, as the breadwinners. They've been living a certain way for so long, and they've been allowed to pretty much do whatever they want. And we've just been, like, oppressed as women. And now that we're like, oi, stop it, can't do that anymore, they're a bit like, what? Why? And the thing is like, it's like what I was saying earlier about when someone calls you out for behavior and you've been doing it for so long, and obviously if you kind of, I don't know, like, if you weren't aware that your behavior was so damaging, you're going to be like, well, why didn't you say something sooner? And it's like, you know, when like men kind of, and it's not even just men, a lot of women do it as well. This is the internalized misogyny part. But like, so when, say, like a woman's in a domestic violence relationship and people say, why didn't you just leave sooner? Why didn't you just like get out? Or why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And it's like, because it's normalized. And also, unhealthy attachments and codependency is real. Like, I think people forget that a lot of times abuse is covered up as love, and especially because of the societal norms that have been placed upon men and women over the last, like, I'm going to say 1,000 years. I know, like, 2000 is making me think of Jesus, and, like, I don't really want to bring him into this because then it gets a bit techie. Like, I don't really know. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that right now. That is just crossing way too many topics, and my brain will explode. But what I'm trying to say is that I think we need to have a conversation with men about how they feel about the societal norms changing. Because let's be honest, if they've been told for the last however many years that they need to provide and they're not allowed to feel their emotions and they have to be strong and they have to be the breadwinner and they have to do all these things for us because we are just sweet little women that cannot fend for ourselves, and then all of a sudden we're like, actually, we can do that. We were just scared because all of your men in power would have killed us or burned us at the stake or beaten us. And now we're like, oi, no, don't. They're just confused. I think we as a society are all just really, really confused because we've been living one way for so long and now things are changing so quickly. And men and women alike, I think, are just like, what do we do now? Like, what do we do now? And like, I saw that, this is so irrelevant, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's like, I saw this thing and it was like, you know, in like American court where you literally have to put your hand on a book and just promise to tell the truth. Why? why? I'm not being funny, and this is actually, I really hope this like, if I ever have to go to court for something, I really hope this never comes out. But if I had done something like bad, I don't know what would I have done bad? I didn't really break the law that much. I speed sometimes, but that's about it. Don't tell my mother. But like, if someone was like, oh yeah, put your hand on the book and just like swear to like be honest. Come on, if you've like murdered someone and you've got a perfect cover up and you were just like, oh, actually, yeah, I did it, sorry, like, you're not gonna do that. Come on. Like, everything that we do is so outdated. And I think because like we're kind of trying to live a new way, we're living with social media and we're living with like equal rights, but we've also living with all of these old ancient rules. Like, you're not allowed to die in the House of Commons. Or what? Like, what? Don't tell me that, because now I want to do it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, why is it all so old? Like, everything's so old and outdated. And honestly, it makes sense as to why a lot of men still have these views, because half the time they're being enforced. Like, the fact that I can't, well, I can. But if I was in America, I couldn't just go and get an abortion because a big doctor has got to go, are you having an ectopic pregnancy and potentially going to die? Yeah, okay, fine. We'll save your life. Fine. But only if you pay us. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? Why? It's very strange. I think I'm going to stop this now because I'm getting to the point where my brain's like going on the like, maybe I should keep recording for a little bit, because this is the bit where this happens quite a lot. I get to the end of my podcast and I've not run out of points. But like, how long have we been recording for? 31 minutes. I get to the point where like my brain is literally shooting in 100 million different directions. And I love it, but I don't know if you guys love it because it's a mess. Like, I know my podcasts are a mess anyway. But like, I think I'm done talking about Andrew Tate, because I feel like I've kind of covered the fact of what I wanted to say about him. But it's like, what am I even talking about now? I'm definitely going to stop, because I'm not even, all I'm talking about now is talking about things, which isn't helping. It's not helping anyone. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Love you guys. Sorry for the actual like big melt brain ADHD eruption at the end there. I don't know how long that was, like last 10 minutes, last 5 minutes. Time isn't real. It's fine. It's content. It's all content. But love you guys so much. Thanks for listening. Bye.